Hey guys, and welcome to this video of enzymes. Make sure to click the subscribe button if you're new here. So in this video we'll be focusing on enzyme structure and other activities. Okay, to start it's worth knowing what enzymes are. So enzymes are biological catalysts, and you may have come across the word catalyst in some other videos. So a catalyst is basically a substance that speeds up reactions without being used up themselves. So enzymes are made from biological substance called proteins. So what are proteins? So proteins are made up of smaller units of amino acids, and we have about 20 amino acids where proteins are made from. A basic chain of amino acid is then folded into a complex chain, which we then call a protein. So from here we can see it looks a bit like Pac-Man, so let's simplify a bit. So the gap in the enzyme, or the Pac-Man, is the active site where the molecules stick into it to be broken down. So enzymes can take on any shape, not just Pac-Man, like how I mentioned before. So it can even take the shape of something over here. So let's call the orange bit an enzyme. And the green part is the substrate, or the molecule that needs to be broken down. And the part where they interlock is called the active site. So over here, the lock and key hypothesis can come very useful. So just as we need a certain key for a certain lock, similarly, only certain substances can fit into certain enzymes. So once the substrate is into the enzyme, we have something called the enzyme substrate complex. So this is a very good term for exam, so make sure you remember it. So then the substrate undergoes a change and forms products. The key thing about the products is that they are no longer specifically shaped to match the active site, and therefore when they leave the active site and this whole process, the enzyme remains unchanged, so it can be used again and again. Okay, so some factors affecting enzyme activity. So the first one is temperature. So on the right you can see a graph of how temperature affects the rate of reaction. So rate of reaction is the speed of conversion of reactants into products. So it's basically how quickly the reactants turn into products. So the usual optimum temperature that enzymes work in is 37 degrees. So optimum temperature is best temperature. So over here on the graph you can see that roughly in between 30 and 40 degrees the optimum temperatures over here. So over here there's a steeper line, so that means there's a fast rate of reaction. So that means the reactants are turning into products really quickly. And after optimum temperature is reached, you can notice that the graph starts to really quickly go down and stop just a few degrees after the optimum temperature. So this is because after the optimum temperature is reached, the enzymes denature. So denature is basically just a scientific word of dying, but you can't use dying in your exam, so you'd have to use denature. So when enzymes denature, the active site of the enzyme changes shape, so no other substrate can fit into it, so it's basically useless. That's why they denature and stop working. So the second factor that affects enzymes is pH. So as you can see, there are many enzymes in different places of the body, so they can work in different types of pHs. So there's certain enzymes in the stomach and there's certain enzymes in the small intestine. So in the next video we're going to be going through the enzymes in the stomach and small intestine, but don't worry about that now. So as you know, in the stomach we need the pH of 2 for our food to be fully digested, and in small intestine, if you haven't already learnt this, bile makes the pH go down to emulsify the fats. So in the small intestine the pH is very alkali, and in the stomach the pH is very acidic. So over here you can see that in the stomach the best pH for enzymes to work would be 2 or 3, and in the small intestine the best pH would be 9 or 10. Okay, so on to the exam questions. So there aren't many exam questions regarding the structure of enzymes, and if there are, there'll just be 1 markers. So I know we still haven't learnt the type of enzymes in the stomach, but I just thought to challenge you guys a bit. So if you don't understand this, don't worry, we'll go through this next lesson. Okay, and this is the answer. Well done if you got it right, and don't worry if you got it wrong. Thank you for watching, guys. Make sure